Writing laws was the easy part. Carving justice into stone was dramatic, symbolic, visible. But law alone could not run an empire. After his conquests, Hammurabi ruled a land larger than any Babylonian king before him, a territory stretching from the Persian Gulf to the upper Euphrates. This was not a single people, a single culture, or a single tradition. It was farmers arguing over water, merchants complaining about taxes, and former enemy cities where local priests held more sway than a distant king. Every day, millions of decisions had to be made about water, labor, land, debt, taxes, and survival. An empire this large couldn't be ruled by royal commands alone. It required a system, a structure, a way for distant cities to feel the presence of Babylon, even when the king himself was hundreds of kilometers away. Before Hammurabi, Mesopotamian kings ruled cities, not empires. Their authority rarely extended beyond nearby farmland. But Hammurabi changed that balance. Through calculated warfare and diplomacy, he absorbed former rivals. His 30th year on the throne was named the year Hammurabi conquered Larsa. He then turned on his longtime ally, Zimri of Mari. For years, they had exchanged letters and troops. But Mari's strategic position was too valuable. Hammurabi captured the city, and a few years later, had its walls systematically destroyed and acted political erasure. Each of these cities, Larsa, Shinona, Mari, had once been capitals with their own scribes, judges, and traditions. Hammurabi understood you could destroy a city, but you could not erase how people were used to being governed. Replacing every official was impossible. Judging every case personally was unrealistic. So, he adopted a different strategy. Babylon would become the administrative heart of a networked empire. Power would flow outward. Information would flow inward. This shift from personal kingship to structured administration marked one of the earliest examples of centralized imperial governance in world history. Hammurabi appointed trusted governors, known as Sakanaku, in conquered cities. These were the king's eyes, ears, and hands. They collected taxes, enforced royal law, managed royal lands, and oversaw canal maintenance, reporting regularly to Babylon. Thousands of administrative tablets survive, recording everything from grain rations for weavers to labor assignments for canal dredging. Many of these officials were outsiders, their loyalty running upward to the king, not locally to the people they governed. Letters from the period reveal Hammurabi's micromanaging style. He didn't rule passively. He wrote directly to his governors. In one letter, he demands to know why two officials requisitioned boats without authority and orders an investigation. He wrote to another official, "The palace has need of 1,800 gourds of sesame. See to it that this sesame is delivered to Babylon within the month." He personally intervened in disputes involving widows and soldiers' families, often reversing local court verdicts. This tells us something critical. Centralized kingship was about visibility. Local officials knew the king was watching, and ordinary people knew they could appeal beyond their city. In Mesopotamia, power came from water. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers were unpredictable. Without canals, civilization was impossible. Crops failed, livestock died, cities starved. Hammurabi invested heavily in water infrastructure. One of his most famous projects was a great canal he named Hammurabi Dash, is dash the dash abundance dash of dash the people. Royal inscriptions boast not of victories, but of canals restored and fields revived. This was not charity. It was control. Canals crossed city boundaries and required coordination. Whoever regulated them decided who got water and who did not. The labor to build and dredge these canals was a form of taxation known as corvée labor. By placing canal management under royal authority, Hammurabi increased agricultural productivity and made cities dependent on Babylonian oversight. A neglected canal could trigger famine. A repaired canal legitimized rule. In this world, a broken waterway was a political crisis. Hammurabi also pursued standardization across his realm. Weights and measures, legal procedures, and tax expectations. Before this, trade between cities was a nightmare of conversion rates. Under Hammurabi, the system was unified. The silver shekel, the mina, and the talent became standard. Scribes used standardized legal formulas for contracts. A typical contract would include the parties, the transaction, the gods as witnesses, human witnesses, and the date, marked by Hammurabi's official year name. Taxation became predictable, not arbitrary. This reduced disputes, simplified administration, and most importantly, it made the empire legible. Officials in Babylon could compare harvest data from the north and south. The king could understand what was happening hundreds of kilometers away in cold, hard numbers. Standardization didn't erase cultural diversity, but it allowed Babylon to govern it efficiently. Temples in Mesopotamia were not just religious centers. They were economic hubs, massive landowners, and employers of thousands. They managed vast agricultural estates and distributed rations. Hammurabi didn't dismantle temple power, he integrated it. He asserted his right to appoint the high priests and priestesses, often choosing his own daughters for these roles. This gave him direct control over the temple's leadership and its immense wealth. Temple economies now operated under royal supervision. Priestly authority reinforced royal legitimacy. Royal protection reinforced religious stability. The gods supported the king, and the king, by controlling their chief servants, supported the temples. This brilliant alliance reduced potential resistance. Religion did not challenge the state, it stabilized it. To maintain centralized control, information had to move. Trade routes doubled as communication corridors. A system of royal messengers carried the king's orders and administrators' reports. These were not paper letters. They were clay tablets inscribed with cuneiform, often encased in a clay envelope that prevented tampering. A constant stream of information flowed to Babylon. Reports on harvests, records of legal disputes, and intelligence on security concerns. These messages allowed Hammurabi to respond quickly by ancient standards. A messenger might take a week or more to travel, but information moved fast enough for control. The king was rarely blind to events in his realm. Through governors, canals, standardization, temples, and communication, Hammurabi achieved something rare. He did not merely conquer Mesopotamia. He organized it. He built a machine of empire. But this system had limits. It depended on the king's relentless attention to detail and on a loyalty that had to be maintained, not assumed. After Hammurabi's death, the system weakened. His successors lacked his authority and discipline. The carefully constructed machine began to break down. Empires, like canals, require constant maintenance. And that truth leads us to the most important question of all. How did ordinary people live inside this system? In the next episode, we step away from palaces and administration and into the homes, markets, and farms of old Babylon. Because to understand an empire, we must understand the lives it governed. Thanks for watching.